I need like one of those production thingies for movies. And action. This is take 2. So let's see what happens here. Hi everybody, I am Jessie. And we are hopefully working. Okay, there's one. Okay. Oh no. Okay. So let's see.
Hey, Jessie girl.
Okay. All right, so let's see if we can get the other one back on. This is gonna work. It's gonna work.
It's all good.
Oh my god. Yeah, all day. Actually all week, I've been having issues with Instagram. I'm like, can you guys just get your ish together? Like, that was so fabulous. Thank you.
When I was on a live yesterday, the same thing kept happening with the host, and it was like hit and miss every time she added somebody into the to live when she was trying to be more than herself and one other person. So it's like hit and miss. It really is.
I'm like, oh! It's like we're how far along into like this.
Yeah, girl. It's okay though.
Hi! Oh my gosh, I see all these familiar faces on. Hello. Okay, Liz. Okay, I think she's coming back. Her buddy is Liz.
You never know with this Instagram stuff. It's ridiculous.
No.
It's always an issue.
What's your event at 8 o'clock?
You said your what, huh?
Event at 8 o'clock.
You said
you have an event at 8 o'clock? What's your event at 8 o'clock?
On Clubhouse with Birdbee & Co. It's a new organization, a new resource within the fertility community, and a couple of people, I don't know if you follow them, but Brianna is one of the co-founders.
Okay.
And a lawyer influencer is a co-founder. And the session is about what, I guess, let me see, how can I put it? It's going to be about a couple things, but insurance, mental health, and how to merge the two in a way.
Okay.
So, yeah. That begins at 8. Yeah. Drea's in the room now. I just saw her join. Hopefully it'll work.
I try to take a shower before I do these things, and hoping that like refreshing like energy.
Yeah.
Maybe I should not be showering before these things.
Oh no, I did too, girl.
Okay. If you just add really? Okay, I invited you. Okay, it's happening. You're getting in. We're gonna yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you get to know where you are today?
No, girl. I'm on the East Coast, so
I'm right above you. I'm up north. I'm not by much, but I'm just over the PA line. So
okay, so like close to like Shrewsbury.
Yeah, I'm in New Freedom. So now I'm in Vermont, but yes,
we used to live in
literally just over.
Yeah, we used to live in York a while back ago. Yeah. A while when we first got married, we moved to York for like 2.5 years. We were out there for a minute. So I know all about Shrewsbury and all those places up there. We had a business in Shrewsbury at the time.
Oh, really? When was that? We used to live in Shrewsbury years ago, but it may not have been that far long ago.
Yeah, this was a while ago. This was, we moved out there summer of 2011.
We just moved back to Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah, we moved out there summer 2011, and we stayed until the spring of 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 years.
Okay. She's having trouble getting in. Okay, well, I sent the invite. I don't know why Instagram is being such a hitter.
Maybe if we wait a few more minutes, then it will
maybe set in.
Yeah, or I don't know if you were doing an intro of us first, and then I can do my intro, hop off, and then we could try again after Andrea does her intro and stuff too. Maybe we could do that.
I am determined. Okay. All right. You request this time. I'm not going to touch. I'm going to show my hand, and you try to request this time. Invite expired. Okay, so you request this time. I'm not going to touch any buttons until I get the pop-up. I feel like my mom talking to me. Now sit on your hand and don't touch anything. Okay. So I was telling Drea that, I thought, we already had this plan, but I thought it was so interesting that all week the topic of conversation has been coming up of like, well, I don't feel comfortable sharing my story, or I feel like I need to be sharing my story, and like all these things, and it's like, no, like you do you, and I think that there is a sense of power in storytelling, but how you do the storytelling, it's an intimate, personal experience.
Absolutely.
That there shouldn't be like any pressure. But I thought by having the two of you on, and talking about how it's helped you through your experience, through your adventure, that
oh my gosh, you're good.
You got it together now.
I thought by having the two of you on, it would be really helpful for other people to get an inside look as far as like, well, how does one decide if it's okay to share or not? And, we've gone through, I think, since the pickup of social media over the years has been, you don't want to share too much, you may offend somebody, or like, do you really want to put that out there on social media and all of that stuff? And I know from my own personal experience, after my first loss 4 years ago, I waited like 6 months. I didn't tell anybody. And then my grandmother had died. And then a month later, I was like, that's it. I got to like come out. And everybody who knows me, my work specializes in reproductive health and oncology, which includes end-of-life support through massage and body work. And so for me, it was like a natural thing that like, okay, I have to talk about this. Like we talk about it's okay for an adult to die, but we don't talk about if it's okay with a pregnancy and if we lose a baby. We don't talk about that. And so like that started my word vomit of like, okay, well, let's have a candid conversation, and let me tell you why we need to be having these conversations. And so, that's how I started doing it, but I prefer social media rather than talking in person to people, because then it's like, I'm going to put it out there and you're going to listen to me without interrupting me. And then without like your judgment, like it's just me feeling safe that like I can put it out there in the hopes of you picking something up and learning how to do better so that we can be of more community support. To me, that's like how I was looking at it. And this account is really only my business account, but I decided that when we officially started treatment this fall, I was like, okay, I think it's time that my clients who are following this account see that I do actually understand to a degree of what they're going through if they're struggling with fertility, and that like I understand pregnancy loss, and I want to say the triangle or the circle of like navigation kind of thing. And so that's how it kind of came to be for me, putting it out there in a more intimate setting on my account, on this account, rather than me just sharing on Facebook. But I love the fact of what you two have created through the use of social media between Instagram and TikTok, is that you really are showing the intimacy, the humor, the reality, the raw truth of your story and your experience, but also giving people something to connect with that's tangible. And then it's also like, okay, they speak for me. It's okay that I don't have to put it out there kind of thing. So that's like a long-winded thing, but it's kind of why I wanted to have you both on, because you've done something, both of you, so incredibly powerful. I hope you realize how you've impacted the fertility community on a
Thank you.
level.
Yeah,
so,
appreciate you.
So Monique, can you share a little bit about your experience, or is it?
That's Omar. Say hello. Say hello to the lady.
Hello.
I can't get out of here. I
I see
get
them all
out
the
of the
time.
monster truck. Kids racing fun.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I feel like it's the fact of life, right?
Oh, he's so funny. That's my little parrot right now. He's 4.5, so it's about
He's
that
a
time.
cutie.
Yeah,
He's a
thank you
cutie.
guys. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
um,
can you share like a little bit about your story and then kind
mhm.
of how you navigated and decided that you needed to do your podcast and how your focus came to be for social media?
Okay, really quickly, a couple of bullet points. I was diagnosed 2 years after getting married, and it was in early 2012 when I got diagnosed with an RE when we were still living in Pennsylvania. And it was right tubal blockage at the time. And I had an unsuccessful IUI right after that, like the same week pretty much. And then we never did anything again. I still had one good tube. I had a lot of eggs. I was in really good shape. I was weight training a lot back then. So I was like, felt really strong. And my husband, he was like, we both really were not ready to go the route of IVF at the time. Like IUI was enough. And it was almost traumatic in a way to do IUI because it's like, shit, I can't do this shit without a fucking doctor. You know what I mean? So it was like this whole enlightening moment of this is real life. You know what I mean? And so then we waited 4 years, moved back home to our home state. And then I went back the next year, 2016, and found a new RE, of course, and all those good things. And I was diagnosed then with hypothyroidism and uterine polyps. I also had cervical polyps, but I kind of had the cervical polyps for a while. I mean, like years. So it wasn't an issue really there. And then the right tubal blockage was no longer there. It had cleared itself. So I guess that there was maybe some mucus or some tissue there, but the body did its thing and healed. And so that wasn't the issue anymore. So I had to get the hypothyroidism under control for 3 months before they would allow me to move forward with IVF. And let's see, about 2-3 weeks post-op is when we had our first egg retrieval. That was unsuccessful. The second one was successful, and that's where I got pregnant with my Omar Jr. August 2016, and he was born in January 2017 prematurely at 24 weeks, 4 days. So quite the journey. That's a brief synopsis. As brief as I can make it. Yeah. But I appreciate you, Jesse, for putting this together for us and including myself with Andrea and everything, because she's been doing the TikTok thing for a while. So yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
And I think, but that's what it's about, right? I have goosebumps because, I mean, if you've seen like my other posts, anybody who's watching, like I'm a huge
Mm-hmm.
advocate of community and supporting and uplifting and having the hard conversations when other people don't want to, like
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
put it out there. And I think one of the things that I have found that I love what you're doing, Monique, is that you're really pushing the advocacy for diversifying the storytelling
Yeah.
and amplifying the voices that need to be heard so that people feel connected to the
Mm-hmm.
communities.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for Black women to have other Black women to connect to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's needed. I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, like people need to know that they're not alone. And the same thing with the Latina community and the LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know that they're not alone. And then we're also advocating through the storytelling use of
Mm-hmm.
social media. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's like the power. So, so I'll let Andrea share
Yeah,
her
yeah,
story,
she go
and then we'll
next.
dive
Yeah,
into
for
like
sure.
how we get here.
I'll do bullet points as well because my story is messy and long. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So I was married when I was 20 years old, got married young, and I got pregnant right away. However, I had a miscarriage and I found out on my 12-week appointment. So had a DNC. And then after about 3-4 losses, my OBGYN kind of gave up on me, was like, you know what? I can't help you out. I don't know what's going on. Let's send you out to fertility for testing. And I was like, fertility? But I can get pregnant. That's so weird. But apparently that's where I learned miscarriages are a part of infertility.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the fertility doctor, got tested for everything. And they found little things here and there like MTHFR, adenomyosis, but nothing
Mm-hmm.
concrete as to why I was miscarrying. So I had pregnancies on my own with them, him miscarrying. I did 2 IUIs, and weirdly enough, it did not get me pregnant. No, that didn't work. I got pregnant on my own 2 more times after the IUI and still losses. And my last pregnancy was December 24th, 2018. So it's been a while. I needed a lot of recovering. It's been a total of 8 losses, some DNCs, some miscarriages at home. My body's been through a lot. My mental state has been through a lot. So, yeah, and I've opened up to social media with my IVF journey because this is so weird. I'm doing IVF because I want to try to stay pregnant, and my doctors think that this, along with other factors being placed, like taking steroids and progesterone injections, all this extra stuff should hopefully help me stay pregnant. So I'm sharing, awareness along with my story. And I told my husband, oh my gosh, I might fail or miscarry in front of the whole world because I'm sharing my story. But that's okay, because I want women and couples out there to know that they're not alone when they do go through this, because starting this journey at the age of 20, I felt alone. I didn't have friends that understood what I was going through, because first off, I was the crazy person who got married at 20 years old. So it was hard to even have support back then. So now that's the goal, to just spread awareness. And I'm so glad you two are out here. You two are incredible, inspiring, and yeah. I know if you have questions.
We could have a love fest all night long. So
Absolutely.
what inspired you to turn to the podcast? Because which came first, the Instagram social media, or was it the podcast? Because I feel like they're equally as powerful.
It was all in one. Because what happened was, after I had Omar Jr., I deleted my old Instagram account and took a break from social media as far as Instagram is concerned. And so it wasn't until the summer of 2019 when I began to think about how could I connect myself and advocate for the infertility community as a brown woman. And I didn't have the resources to start a nonprofit or anything like that. It takes a lot of footwork to start nonprofits and networking and such. And I'm not really the most extroverted person in the world. Like my reels make me look a lot different than how I am in real life. I'm more introverted, and so I was already a long time podcast listener, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll just do a podcast because it can reach a broader spectrum of people, no matter where they were in the world. And then with the Instagram account, it was also the same. And so I use the Instagram account to advocate, to connect and meet people, as well as to promote the podcast too, if people are into podcasts, because everybody's not into podcasts. Let's be real about it. You know what I mean? So that's why I started creating. And so that's why I started making, that's kind of the thinking. And then also I just wanted to create a platform where I could give other women and men the time and the space, and to hold space for them to tell their stories in a non-judgmental space, and specifically silent sufferers, which is why I started doing the anonymous storytelling, earlier this year, because there's people that possibly want to talk, but they don't want to be seen. You know what I mean? And so then creating the reels, it was like a light bulb went off when they actually started making reels on Instagram back in the early fall. And I love to be comedic. That a lot of people that I know in my personal life know me as being really funny, saying quirky things and stuff like that. So that wasn't new to them, but putting it out there in the way that I did with the reels was very different for me, very new. And it took some vulnerability beyond what I do with the podcast, because my face is behind it, and making like shareable posts and content is much different to do a reel or to do TikToks and stuff. And then people, they expect things from you when you begin to do things like that. And so it's just, I do it because I needed it.
Yeah.
I did it because I needed it, and I wanted to be the face and voice for brown women, whether that was Latino brown women, South Asian, whatever. Because I feel like if they saw my face, and they would feel comfortable coming to me and be like, well, I would like to tell my story on the podcast. And it's worked out really well in that way. And that was the other thing too, was to make people feel comfortable telling their story too.
I think it's
Yeah.
really important when we talk about creating safe spaces and
Mm-hmm.
safe spaces that allow for authentic vulnerability.
Yeah.
Instead of like just piecemealing it, people feel more comfortable being able to do that, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I have listened to your podcast. I'm not a podcast person, but like there's a few
Yeah.
that I'm like, okay, maybe there's like 2 or 3 only, but otherwise I don't really
It's
listen.
all
Like I
good.
have like a
Yeah.
playlist, but then that's about it. But I think what is so unique
Podcasts are
about
for
yours,
podcast listeners. You know what I
well, I'm
mean?
not
That's what I tell people all
judgmental
the
of them
time.
much.
Like, don't feel bad if you only consume the IG content and not the
Yeah,
audio content, because it's
yeah,
not for everybody.
yeah.
It's
But
not. You
when I
know what I
used to
mean?
drive, when I used to be in the car for at least a half hour or 40 minutes, like that would
Yeah.
be like I would listen to like clips of
Hmm.
one episode, and now
Yeah.
I don't really drive anywhere, so I'm like I can't just sit
Yeah.
still and listen to a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
I think that what you've created, I mean, it really it speaks volumes in a lot of ways. But can you touch on the humor? Like, how does the humor help you be able to tell stories?
Well, the humor just allows me to, because see, the thing was is that after being on Instagram with the podcast, and having the IG page for a year, I just felt like we needed something different. And I felt like there was an opportunity with the reels to make funny videos without it being like 3 and 4 minutes long, like a video on Facebook. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah,
then, of course, still having that same reach. I feel like the reach on Instagram is a lot broader than it is on Facebook, specifically because we are in the niche of fertility. People don't
yeah,
want to talk about whether they can get pregnant or not. People don't want to talk about if their husband has azoospermia. You know, people don't want to do that on Facebook. It's a more personable space. And
mhm,
so when like the first reel I ever did was like it was either a shot content or it was the one where I did when you're in a doctor's office trying to like hide your underwears and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like they're not about to look at my vag. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
so that was like after that, it was like the universe just continued to talk to me and gave me ideas. So when I make reels, a lot of times it's because I just make it in the moment and it's
yeah,
not necessarily thought out a week in advance or anything like that. Now I do get, ideas sometimes here and there and I'll make notes, but the comedy aspect of it was I just felt like that's what the community needed.
mhm,
I was thinking about it around the time the reels were created and I was like, I was already on the playing field of like, what can I do different? You know what I mean? What can I do different? What does the community need? What do they need? And so when the reels came out, I was like, oh, this is perfect because maybe then I can create some things that are hilarious, or that are funny. And I didn't think I was all that funny until people started telling me I was funny.
No, you're funny.
So I was like, okay, well then I could just put more of myself out there and do what I normally do for everybody else who knows me personally. And so I saw the need. Period. Now there's like the woman from the north, hilariously infertile, like she makes funny content too, and she's been
Oh
doing it a
yeah.
lot longer than I have, but she shares a different type of comedy
yeah,
through her posts and through her platform.
Yeah.
And I just wanted people to laugh, period, because there's so much. You scrolling your feed, you're connected to all these other people who are going through the exact same thing that you're going through, and it becomes your feed becomes just despair,
yeah, yeah,
sorrow, people
mhm,
grieving. And then COVID made it worse because we were all home on there all the time. Like people's content became more frequent. And so I was like, we got to do something. This is not working, and being vulnerable on Instagram is really necessary. But we definitely have to find something to distract us that's healthy, a healthy distraction. And so
yeah.
that's really where it was. I saw the need and I created it, for the community. That's all.
Well, you are doing a kick-ass job of it. That's for sure.
You are.
I mean, it's true. I mean, you're pretty much, I mean, you're doing what everybody's thinking, but people either A, they don't know how to articulate it, B, they don't want to articulate it,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
C, it's just like, do I not? And I think
Mhm.
that it
Mhm.
also inspires other people to find their comfort level with how they engage with social media as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that everybody is doing more funny content in relation to fertility issues. Because it's that break that we all need from the grief that we feel on the inside. It's a break from all of that, and it gives us something to look forward to on a weekly basis. So I love that everybody is doing more of that kind of content. Yeah, for sure.
And Andrea, you're definitely doing, you're entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. My internet's like really weird right now.
Okay. Well, we got you. You're here with us.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because you've been creating content for your YouTube channel and then TikTok, and then is it like recently you started doing more with Instagram, or how's that
Yeah,
working?
YouTube's actually been, I'm a slacker with YouTube. YouTube's hard. That takes a lot longer. Yeah, I'm doing my best with YouTube. My husband is even like, hey, your YouTube, like you haven't posted in weeks. I'm like, oh, I know. Instagram is a little easier. I'm not so popular. People don't really care about my content on Instagram, hopefully in the future. But my TikTok account is linked to my Instagram. So I post anyways because my audience there does like my content.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I have like a remix of things where it's like funny content, relatable, or you know what? I know what it's like to cry scrolling on social media, looking at announcements, things like that, or just opening up about pregnancy losses. You can't make anything funny about that. That's just horrible.
Right.
Like misery, where we just want to connect and spread awareness and educate people that it's a silent grief that people don't see. So yeah, I've used it for anything and everything, education, humor, all of it.
So what would you both say, like for those that are, because this week we know as National Infertility Awareness Week, it's been a hot and heavy week for a lot of different reasons. And I'm finding that the common theme that we've been seeing in feed after feed is I don't want to share, or I don't share, like I have an anonymous account, or I limit what I post, and I am willing to share about my story and things like that. Like, what do you say to the person who's struggling with, like, not to say that nobody needs to come out on social media. Like I think that's something we're all in agreement for, because oftentimes those of us that are using it to share our story and to provide awareness and education, like we're doing it so that people feel that they have something they can connect with, not with the expectation that other people have to do it all as well. But for someone who's like debating, like they feel like they need something to like push them forward to like want to do it, but yet they're still like holding back because of that extra vulnerability piece. Like, what would you say to somebody who's like, I'm on the fence of sharing, but I don't really know, like, if I can, like, what words of wisdom would you share?
You can go first, Andrew.
Well, with that, I say that's a personal choice. I probably share that what had me open up was Gabrielle Union's story, and that made me feel like I could be brave too. And I felt like nothing was holding me back to share it. So if you're having doubts, that's okay. Like whenever you're ready, go ahead and do it, because there is a community that will support you. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Mooney?
I feel the same way Andrea does, and that's, it's personal choice for everyone. Plenty of people stay anonymous, and I've been told in DMs and some of the anonymous guests that I've had on this year so far, and that is that they haven't even told family outside of their like moms and dads and maybe a cousin or two. And so then they stay anonymous. And one of the last anonymous guests, well, the last two I had, both are public figures. One is an entertainer in Europe, and then the other one is right in New York, and she's a public figure. She works for a politician. And so, I that's the beautiful thing about Instagram and social media, is that you can connect with people from all different types of lives, demographic, geographic statuses. And I think that it's just personal, like Andrea said. It's very personal, and you'd be surprised how many people are on Instagram for their fertility and they're anonymous, but they don't do social media other than that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
They
think
don't
it's
do
important
social
for
media other
people.
than that. I'm
Sorry,
sorry,
go
I couldn't
ahead.
hear you, dear. I
No,
couldn't
no,
hear you.
you go ahead.
No, I was done. I was done. Yeah, I was done
Okay.
speaking. Yeah.
I think that it's important for people to hear that because there's
Mm-hmm.
been so much of the dialogue, at least in some of the groups that I'm in, it's like people feel feel out of place because they don't share their story. And by you two saying that, that's the message that I want people to take home, that it's okay. And that as long as you know that you're not alone and that there are people that you can just drop in the DMs and be like, hey, I saw your post and it really resonated with me. It's not public for anybody else to know,
Mm-hmm.
like that you found something that you connected with. I think that that's important. And that it also gives people the idea like, oh, I didn't think I could create like an anonymous account. Like I can create something that's separate from what has my name on it kind of thing. So then that way I have the privacy and people don't have to know that it's me connected to it. I think that's what I was really hoping you guys to say. And of course you're going to say it because you guys are amazing. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I do think that that's important. And for
Yeah.
people, you know, with similar stories and similar backgrounds, like for them to be able to just see someone that is speaking for them and
Mm-hmm.
that like speaks with them, like how they're
Mm-hmm.
feeling and their experience on this, let's admit it, this fucking roller coaster.
Mm.
You know, it's very validating. And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people need that extra validation when it comes to the use of social media. Like, am I good enough? Do I have to get the followers? And it's like, nobody cares how many followers you have. And it's like, you're going to be seen just as you are and in a beautiful way. And you're going to have the support, you know, and you're not alone. Like those, I feel like are the biggest thing. People get so hooked up on the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And
But unfortunately, we do have people who will join the community for the numbers. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
then that is a deterrent for people to connect with your content. And I think that when you come onto the platform, you have to be very intentional about why you're here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't have a personal Instagram account. No, I take that back. I do, but I don't use it. I don't even know the freaking password to it. Okay, at this point, it's so
yeah,
crazy. You know what I mean? I'm very intentional about how I use Instagram because it's a very dangerous place and you can get caught up in the BS. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And at the end of the day, we're all here because we're having struggles with fertility and or recurrent pregnancy losses. And these are very traumatic things. And I think that you have to connect yourself to accounts that really resonate with you. I'm not for everybody. I may be too brash. I may be too honest, too aggressive. I may talk about too much political stuff for people, and that's fine. I really don't care because at the end of the day, those who want to hear the message that I am trying to give to the world
yeah,
and who connect with me, energy wise, that's all that's important.
yeah,
And I don't connect with everybody. You know what I mean? And so it's the same thing. I don't take it personally.
yeah,
I'm here for those who resonate with me and
yeah,
resonate with my spirit and what I produce and project through Instagram and the content and the podcast and stuff. If I never make another podcast episode, I'll always be here on Instagram and doing the work here. And then when COVID lets up a little bit, doing the work outside of, the online spaces for sure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it definitely speaks for it. And I love the content that you put out, the political and the non-political. I'm here for it. So um,
Same here.
just continue to be you. That's all I'm going to say. Just
Thank you
continue to be.
guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the diversity in our community with
Yeah.
influencers. You know, I mean, just today I got a few comments saying that I'm rude, and you know what? Maybe I am a little rude. It's okay, but some people love that I call
Right.
out
Right.
things, so
Yeah.
that's okay because that's my personality. I'm not going to change
Mm-hmm.
who I am, and there are people who really do respond well to that, that need that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I mean, for the Latino community, I try my best to reach out to them. That's a really taboo subject still in the Latino community. I do my
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
best,
Mm-hmm.
but and I
Mm-hmm.
still will, and I still will. So I appreciate Monique, always talking about, empowering Black women with infertility. I love that because it
Yeah.
inspires. Like, you know what? Let me reach out to my Latino community
Yeah.
because, like, sometimes I'm so over my Latino community where I'm like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm just like, I can't
Yeah.
touch you.
It's like, and it's more taboo. I feel like in Asian and Latino communities in any South American community, or even, you know, Spain or anything like that. I feel like it's worse than it is with Black people in the African American community here, or Africa, or Europe. I think it's worse for you guys. And so, like, there's 3 Latina women who have been on my podcast. Well, more than that, but Infertility Latina podcast, they were
Yes.
on. And then
Yeah.
Rocio
Oh, I love her.
New York. She's hilarious. Freaking love her. Tootsie Rolades. And then my girl Marilyn B. Gomez is
Yes.
a veteran. She's been
Uh-huh.
on Instagram with her account for years, like years and years before the trying to conceive community is as big as it is now. And so when I connected with like Rocio last year, I was like, girl, I got to put you on, girl. And I because I know how important it is for representation as a minority woman. And I have a son who will identify with his Black side and his Asian side when he gets older. You know what I mean? So all that stuff matters, man. When people feel like you look like them. And the first thing Rocio told me is that I look like one of her cousins that lives in the Dominican Republic. You know what I mean? So it doesn't even matter what kind of brown girl you are. It just matters that you show up so that people can feel connected and feel safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is about being safe, you know. And unfortunately, we don't know what people feel when we go to their pages. We don't know,
Yeah.
you know, until we know. So
Right. And that's part of the storytelling, right? Like the
yeah.
power of storytelling. So we hear it with our words, like through, you know, whether it's a video or a reel or just the words that are written in the caption. And I think just the concept of empathy goes very far, but people have to be willing to be open to understand why certain communities are struggling with being out about their struggles with fertility. And a lot of the myths that we hear and the misconceptions that we, you know, often hear as well. So we're shattering the stigma and having these conversations, which is so important. And again, that's why I chose the 2 of you to be like, okay, I got to have these 2 on. Like, we've never actually had real-time conversations until today.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fangirling. Okay. So, someone just wrote, hold on, wait on. Thanks for advocating and speaking up on fertility. I've been on the fence about sharing it, but I'm not there yet. It's such a poor personal taboo topic. But we're so glad that this has been helpful for you.
Yeah,
Yay,
I mean,
see?
I
This
tell
is
people all the time,
awesome.
like, you know, do it when you're ready, and if you
Yeah.
never do it, don't do it. I had a
Yeah.
gentleman in my DMs last summer. Him and his wife got pregnant through IVF, and they're Black as well. And he said, you know, we never made a page or anything like that. But he was like, he's a podcaster, and he has his own podcast, and he was like, that his wife follows the content and stuff like that, and he does too, and they listen to the podcast episodes and stuff like that. But they're not people that would come on the podcast and tell their story. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of people, more
Yeah.
than half, who are not ever going to speak about it on social media. And that's
Yeah.
fine. Who cares? They here to consume. You know, we're all here, you know, all of us here consuming something. And so that's all that matters at the end of the day, and just being able to connect with people. That's why DMs are so important too, and answering your DMs. And
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes if you get a lot of them at one time, but it's get to them, because people really appreciate you taking the time to respond back to them and stuff. So that's another
It's
important aspect of
an extra
connection.
step in that community building
Yeah.
and breaking the isolation and creating the
Yeah.
solidarity for sure. Yeah. You
Yeah.
guys, I'm like, I want to hug you.
I know, right? Virtual hugs.
Right? Virtual hug.
So weird, man. COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
so
Dr.
much.
Camille was like, Dr. Camille was sending her love.
Oh yeah, Dr. Camille.
Oh, she's
Yes,
so sweet. I
appreciate
love
you.
her.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, you guys like touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. So I hope for those that are watching, you realize like it's okay wherever you're at, and there's never any pressure that you have to share your story.
Right.
Just know that there is enough people out there that are going to talk, and if there's something or someone that resonates with you, like reach out to them. You know, if you are okay with that, and if you're not, that's okay. Just know that when you're ready, there's going to be somebody there to answer the DMs and to connect with you and to respond to a comment, and that you do you in whatever beautiful way works for you. And that's community. We're going to support you however that looks.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Absolutely.
Monique and Andrea, thank you so much. And for those that are watching right now, next week's event, actually on Sunday, we have a closed Zoom event for secondary infertility. So it's just a kind of like shoot the shit kind of thing for people who are going through secondary infertility. Oftentimes people feel left out of the fertility community because they're like, well, I already had a baby and I didn't have to go through fertility treatment, but now I kind of do. So we're going to have that. The link is in my bio to the event. And that is at 8 o'clock Sunday night Eastern time. And so, so that is on Sunday night. And then on Tuesday, we're having a partners event. And I'm so excited because you were talking about infertility. And Jasmine is going to be on. She's one of the three. Yeah, she's one of the three couples that's going to be on for that. So I'm so excited because we're going to have a variety of different relationships and including your couples. And I'm just like so excited. And then Wednesday, we're going to have PTSD and fertility with a therapist based in Maryland, Tiffany.
Jasmine.
And then on Thursday, Jasmine for Tuesday.
Is that Jasmine with the therapist from Maryland that's going to be on?
It's Tiffany.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Tiffany. And then on Thursday, it's going to be a closed event. I'm so excited for this. So a dear friend of mine who is also in this unfortunate club, Aladrian Wetzel. She is a Baltimore-based Black playwright, and she has written numerous plays around her own personal experience of dealing with fertility and loss. And we're going to be doing some she has actors who are going to be doing screen readings, playwright screen reading, whatever you call those things. And then we're going to have a post-reading discussion after that. So I'm so excited. Again, all the links are in the bio. Everything is an IG Live next week, except for Sunday and Thursday. So I guess that's just Tuesday and Wednesday. But anyway, all right. I love you all.
Good night, ladies. Good night, everyone.
Love you guys.
Good night.
Bye.